Hello again, and welcome back to the live stream. I'm sorry it's been so long. I've been busy. What have I been busy doing? Let's see. I played a brass quintet job with my dad's brass quintet, which was very fun and very frightening, and so I had to prepare for that. I also did some real damage to my dentition and everything, and so I had to repair it, and so I couldn't really do many live streaming things while I was busy with all that. And I know one of my students that watches the streams, or one of my former students that watches the streams, will always wants to know more about that. And I'm sorry, I cannot tell you. But what I can tell you is I've learned a lot about what different dentition. So when we say dentition, we mean the shape of your teeth, right? And what I have learned is why, for some people, things just really don't work, and that it's not a lack of trying, right? I already knew that, but now I know what it feels like, and it feels bad. So anyway, what we're working on now, though, is we're trying to build our trumpet playing back into some sort of really workable and versatile kind of playing field, ability, maybe we should say. And in order to do that, I'm going to play some of the Arban's book. And today we're focused on playing slowly, which will be smooth in terms of our air, right? And really using our air to get where we're going. So the air is always in charge. And there's an old saying, I think from a sniper movie, that's slow is smooth and smooth is fast. In this case, we're going to go slow is smooth and smooth is good because it works, right? And so you might think like, maybe you're a person like me who's always wondered, yeah, how come the Chikowitz flow studies are so good? Why does that work for everybody as a warm-up? Because everybody who does it seems to be able to play up to high E's and F's pretty easily, whereas without that warm-up, they can't seem to just pick off those notes, right? It's not like it's built into their chops. Well, it's really smooth. It's a really smooth, progressive exercise that allows you to do just the minimal amount of changes that you need to keep everything working and keep everything kind of the same. And so that's that's the principle that we're working on today. And so I thought I'd pull up some of the Arban's. I need to work on some really hard contemporary atonal or post-tonal, we should say, music for an upcoming recital. And that's the kind of stuff that it's really easy to just beat your face up and just try and try and try. And I thought if we start smooth, then maybe we can bring some of that smoothness into those more angular pieces, and maybe that will help me build a better what do they say? Build a better mousetrap. But yeah, maybe I can figure it out. Okay, so we're going to start here with Arban's characteristic study number 2, and this one might be a notorious one for some of you. It's really fast and it's in a really bad key, and then it switches to a really worse key somehow. So, but I'm going to go slowly at first, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of play for a while, but I want you to hear what I'm trying to do and hear whether I'm successful or not. So I'm going to try to make the air just play between, like, so any two notes are connected to the air, or by the air, right? And then I'm trying to leverage that note to note to note so that it's more of a smooth shape through the phrase or through the line, right? So that the air is really doing the work and the tongue position is helping it do the work. And but I still need to have that sort of twitchy reaction time too. And so I need that means I need to engage my strength in order to be agile while keeping the air smooth, okay? So you'll hear that as I do. So this one just goes, so you'll hear just the air in charge for a while, but then that angularity is going to need some strength to maintain a smooth airstream. Otherwise, it's going to be, and I can't play like that, right? That's not going to sound good. It's not going to work good, and because it's not smooth. And smooth is good, not rough is good. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to practice it a little bit, slowly and smoothly, and very gradually, hopefully speed it up a little bit, but always smooth. If it's not smooth, I need to go slower to get it. Okay, here we go. So we're in a very middling tempo, but we're getting it really smooth. And what do I mean by smooth now that I've done it a little bit and you've heard it? Well, I don't want to feel my lips latching onto one note or another. I want to feel them kind of wrapping around the airstream as it does what it's supposed to do already, right? Now, I've had people on this channel tell me about high notes and aperture size and airstream and tongue position and all that stuff, and they're usually really accurate. They're usually really right. But I'm describing what my sensation is, right? And that sometimes is different than the reality. In fact, I say this a lot to my students, and I guess I've never maybe said it on the stream before, but all pedagogy is just creative lying. We're trying to get people to do things that otherwise they don't really know how to do, and so we're both trying to trick them into doing it for the first time, and we're also lying to them partially about how it really works. Now, some people can handle the truth, so to speak, and they're already geared that way. And I used to think I was one of those people, but actually I need to also be lied to. I need to lie to myself. So I don't know what's going on here. I just know that it's working really well, and I feel like I could do it all day, and that makes me happy. So I'm going to keep doing it, and now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, like where I'm going to have to tongue, and I'm going to have to do this angularity, and that's what we're really going to have to go slowly. You have to be careful with this kind of practice. It's tempting to want to keep playing because you're getting closer and closer to the goal, but it's not really. It's ill-gotten gains at the point where you're really feeling like you're getting it. You're also really tired, and sometimes that can be a really good way to get it once because you can't get it any way but the only way that works. Right? You're too tired to force it out, but you only get one or two that way, and then you're too tired to even keep it together to play. So, like I said, it can be a good way to figure it out, maybe at the end of the day when you only have short bursts to go, but which is me right now. But it's good to instead use your imagination a little bit, right? So instead, I'm going to go, and you can hear I'm piecing it apart, right? I'm not just playing through it over and over. I'm playing the line of it, right? That's what I'm interested in. So I can do an air pattern. You can't really hear this very well unless I move the mic. Maybe I'll just look down at it. No, that's bad posture. So I'll just do it and you'll hear it in the trumpet, right? So I can hear, I don't know if you can, but I can hear the pitch of the sounds on my tongue position, but I'm hearing the same type of air come out, right? So I know that it's slightly different compression level and whatever, but I'm doing both at the same time, right? And again, it's just a trick. It's not really what I'm going to do on the trumpet, but I need to believe in it in order for it to work, right? So here we go. So we went a little faster because I was just kind of feeling it, and it was working, so I went with it. And the fingerings are mostly known to me. It's been a little while, but now we got into the E-flat section. And the E-flat section should be basically the same, right? Because even though the fingerings are different, the line is the same, it's just a half step lower. Everything's exactly the same otherwise. Now the length of trumpet will be different, but again, I'm trying to sort of do something that circumvents that, I guess, that awareness or that knowledge, right? Of course I know that, but I don't really want to be bothered with it while I'm trying to play all these fast fingerings, right? So let's see if we can do a little bit of damage on the E flat section, and then we'll move on to some contemporary stuff. And I don't intend for this to be a long stream, but I do intend to sort of show the value of really paying attention to the air line. Sometimes people will draw a line through the note heads to sort of illustrate that rise and fall. I suggest it to some of my students, but I don't always find it that helpful, because I actually want a smaller, I don't want to go up and down with the air a lot. I want to go up and down a little bit. So to me, I need a narrower line than I would draw through the note heads. And sometimes I will draw that on the top of the music, or just below the notes, just to remind myself, hey, you need to follow this line up a little bit, otherwise you're going to do it with your lips. Or, hey, don't push the air too much here, because you're going to fight yourself with it, and you got to keep it solid. So I'll draw a very shallow incline, so I know not to push it too hard, right? So anyway, that can be helpful. All right, here's the E flat. So it's going pretty well. And another thing I thought of that I wanted to say is that a lot of people will talk about that, yes, this is the way that they want to play, and the goal is to stay right in the center of the notes. And I won't argue with that. I think it'd be great to be right in the center of the notes, but a smooth air line and a smooth, like making the air sort of sew the notes together does not guarantee that I stay in the middle. I still have to do that part. And that's part of where the musculature comes in. That's part of, we need to make sure that we don't pinch or loosen or press or do anything weird that more than we need to just to keep playing, right? And so being right in the middle of the notes is the coordination of all these things. It's not necessarily because I'm driving the air through every pair of notes or every line of notes, right? That's a part of the necessary properties of being right in the center, but it's not the only part. And that's an important note to make, because if you're trying to relax this all the time and try to use the air only, well, you're going to run into a lot of kind of funny notes because you're not doing what you need to with your embouchure. And the same thing if all you use is your embouchure, right? You're not going to, it's going to feel bad too. So just think about that. This is a coordination exercise, and therefore I do want to be right in the center of the notes, but that takes a greater effort than any singular part of this coordination could give me. Okay? Now we're going to go a little faster, but not faster than we can go smoothly. So I'll start slow and speed up. So that's pretty good. I don't hate that, and I felt like I stayed pretty calmly in the center. When I do these exercises, I also tend to try to sort of improve my posture a little bit, because it improves my ability to control that airflow. If I've seen people play in all kinds of positions. I'm not saying that posture is the main event, but playing with better posture sometimes gives you better body awareness, or otherwise known as proprioception. That's the awareness of the outside of your body. And in this case, you might call it interoception, which is the awareness of the internal parts of your body, although I would still call this proprioception. I'm using the diaphragm and the lungs intentionally to do something with the air. And so it's almost as if the air is the thing I feel. And appropriate interoception is more like, can I feel my heartbeat or my stomach move or something like that. Although I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But we're improving our perception of things by kind of aligning things a little bit more, and then we have a better sense of self, if that makes sense. So I think that's pretty good. I guess I didn't do very much of the E flat section, but I just wanted to kind of warm up with this because it was a nice exercise that's right in front of me. I just got off of a Zoom lesson, and we were using the Arban's book, and so I got to use my very cool, I don't know what year this is actually, but this is the, I show it all the time on stream, but let's see if it has a year on it. No, but it is this, it's this public domain one that you can find on IMSLP. So that makes it at least before 1927. And I would say it's actually right around then because it has a nice leather binding that has that sort of stood the test of time, but it's otherwise sort of library bound. And so this would have been like sort of a fancy one. And it might have, it was definitely before copyright law existed, I would say. It does have this R.N. Fenton sort of inscribed or embossed into it, and I'm not sure who that is. That might have been the person who owned this copy, embossed his name in there, or it could have been the editor. Who's to say? More on that later, maybe. But okay. So we'll put that away. And now what do we have? Well, unfortunately for me, we've got the Henza. I just recently learned that this piece is 12-tone, which is super cool. It's not all 12-tone, but you can get a very good sort of comparison of editions by William Anony, who did this at USC in 2018, and it's free. You can find it online. And he shows you basically the harmonic plan for the third movement of Sonatina by Hans Werner Henze, and then he writes out the whole row so that you can see the whole matrix, and you can check it out for yourself. He likes to reverse 2 notes in the row, which is not uncommon, but I had not seen that as part of a plan. I had just seen it as sort of like if something's happening in that part. That, you know, it makes sense to switch the notes. So anyway, this will live in my Henze copy forever. But if you've ever played the Henze, you know it does not seem to be a smooth kind of piece. The second movement is, but that's not the one we need to worry about. So I play it on B-flat trumpet as written because I'm not a maniac and I don't need to play a whole step higher and this hard piece. So I know a lot of people play it on C trumpet because unaccompanied music is often done on C trumpet because it's unaccompanied, so of course it must be in the key of C. I've never followed that logic myself. I sort of understand it, I guess, but if it doesn't say C trumpet, I get to play it on whatever trumpet I want. And in this case, it's going to be B flat. So anyway, how do we bring, let me play some of it for you, maybe possibly very poorly, but let me play some of it for you so you can hear the angularity of this piece, and then we'll see what we can do going slow and bringing some smoothness to this so that it is good. So there you go, that's a taste. And I didn't get that high B because it wasn't smooth. I tried to bite it off. And so I didn't get it. And that's the reason we're doing this, is because I need to work on this. And I know, especially because of my new teeth, I just don't have the high range that I used to. And I need to learn how to do that. So if you're a person who doesn't have high range, you can learn with me for the first time, again, how to do it, right? Anybody can do it. What I've learned most about changing my dentition and learning about teeth shapes and things like that is that anyone can do it if they have even a modicum of sort of normal teeth shapes, if that makes any sense. They can learn to play high notes. They can learn to have endurance. They can learn. There's always a workaround, but it takes a lot of discipline and it takes daily practice. I hate to get on my high horse again about like how important a daily routine is, but It really is the solution. If you just do a daily routine that covers all your bases, as we have on this channel many, many times, then you start to get better. But you have to be aware. You have to think through what you're doing, right? And you have to do it carefully, and you have to do it kind of relentlessly, but also safely. And so, and that's one of the things that this kind of exercise does for us, is it gives us a lot of opportunity to do this with pretty minimal impact. So how am I going to approach the henza slowly and smoothly so that it is good? Well, I really need to work on the third movement, but since I just played some of the first movement, let's do some of that. So I'm just going to slur it, and we're going to do it just like we just did in the Arban's book. We're going to go smooth and slow, and then we're going to try to add articulation maybe to that first, or maybe we go faster first, or maybe we do faster without tongue and tongue without faster, and then try to put them together, right? I'm just trying to figure out any way that I can trick myself into keeping it smooth, so that basically the sensation that I get, that I know is, again, a great lie, is that I'm sort of surrounding all the notes. My air is capable of playing all of them, and then my tongue position is kind of dialing it in. I know that's not the truth, but that is the sensation that I get, is that all the notes are under my command that I need. And I know that there are notes outside of that command, but those are notes I don't need yet. And then if I need a note that's not quite within my reach, but just a little above, let's say, then I can push the air up to reach that, and then I'll get that, and then I'll just come right back into the same control. So that's the kind of smoothness that we're talking about here, and that's my approach. I don't know if it's a good one. You be the judge, but we're going to try it. So it probably sounds pretty exotic. And that's because, yeah, I'm playing little tidbits of 12-tone. So, well, this one is not 12-tone, but this is kind of a free atonal. So little tidbits of cells of sounds that don't have any kind of harmonic thing to do with each other. I mean, they do, but not in the sense that we would say tonal music does. So it can be really challenging to listen to both somebody practice like this, but also the piece itself. But that's the point, is what makes this unsmooth to me is my ear doesn't hear the notes well, and then my physical body doesn't know, like that major ninth that I was going B down to A, my body wanted to open up the jaw too much and rush air past, and normally that works, but then that costs me too much for the next notes, and that's the smooth part, right? I only want to do just what I need to do, and if I need to add some strength or some air or change my jaw or my tongue or whatever, then I want to learn just what that is and no more than that, so that I can make it smooth. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'll try to speed it up a little bit so that it's not boring. So I did something interesting that I've never explained before, which is that I needed the notes to move more slowly. Excuse me. I needed the notes to move more slowly, but I wanted to practice the speed of articulation that I wanted to go in the next step. So I did 5 and then 3 repetitions of single notes so that I could also establish that, like, yep, I'm staying on this note and I'm not going anywhere until I move to the next note. And that also allowed me to practice my tonguing, keeping that smooth. So it was basically like I was tonguing on a single note, but I was also playing the line at a much slower rate. And that's a good way. And then you just kind of transition into fewer and fewer repetitions until you're playing just one note per tonguing, and that's the speed you want to go. Now I want to go much faster on this piece, so I'm going to go like that, right? So I need to go, maybe I'll do double articulation on each note, and then I can take away some of them, right? So I'll slow down the parts where I feel like it would be unsmooth, and I'll speed up the parts that I think are fine, okay? Let's see. So this is turning out to be much more physical than I thought. And that tells me something really important, which is that when I play this, I ought to be feeling that physical all the time, right? I need to be set up. I'm not saying hold super tight or tighten my mouth or anything like that, but I need to be in that ready position, because if I'm going to go ta 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 ta, it's my face is going to take sort of concussive damage unless I'm ready to receive it, right? And when I'm tonguing this fast but going twice as slow for the line, I'm finding myself getting really tired really quickly. And part of that is just repetition, and that it is going twice as slow, so it's taking twice as long. But it's also just like, yeah, I'm not really set up. I've been kind of shooting at the notes like this, just kind of poking them out. And I really need to be going, right? I need to be in control the whole time so that I'm not taking that concussive force damage, right? So let's try it some more. So we're getting a good sense of the amount of work it's going to take and the way that the air needs to flow, which is really good. Now when I go faster, hopefully, and I think I can, I know the fingerings and I've been practicing the things that I need to practice. So now when I kind of run the program and just kind of go for it, I think we're going to have a better result. And it'll just be a lot easier because I'm not taking twice as long on every note. I'm not repeating things. And I'll also have to give away the notes that don't speak right away, which is also a good strategy for performance, right? I don't want to go back and try to get something that didn't speak. And so now is a good time to start throwing those notes away. Not forever. I'll go back and try to build it back if it's not correct. but I need to get used to just playing through it no matter what happens. And I'm only about 2.5 weeks away, I think, 3 weeks almost. Yeah, about 3 weeks away. So I have 3 weeks, which is terrifying now, to really get this to really sparkle and shine. So. And that wasn't a half bad performance after all that playing, right? I just kind of trusted my system that I had set up and supported and blew through the line the way that we had practiced. And you'd be surprised how much of that really holds up as long as you do it quickly. Now, the trick will be, can I wait 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then do it again just as well? I don't know. And I won't put you through that. I will find that out myself. But then it's going to be 5 minutes, and then it's going to be 10 minutes. Can I, from out of a cold start, can I play this after waiting 10 minutes? Because that's what my recital is going to be. My recital is with a percussionist who's going to play his own unaccompanied music. And so I'll be off stage waiting to play. And then when he's done, I'll come on and I'll have to just knock out this first movement of the Henza. After that, I know what it's going to feel like because I'll be playing already. But I got to be able to do this one just out of a cold start. And so I really need it to be smooth. I really need it to be, slow as smooth as good, right? I really need it to be good. And not good in the sense of like impressive. The music's already impressive. I need it to be good to me. I need to be able to get through it and still play a lot of other notes. So anyway, that's it for this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks a lot.